So here's the middle ear. It's got the 3 bones called the ossicle, the auditory ossicles, malleus, incus, and staples, or stapes, okay, which is attached to a ligament and transmit vibration from the tympanic membrane to the oval window. So this is very important. So tympanic membrane is right here. So the vibration that the sound comes in, vibration like this, it will travel to the bones, okay, and then the stapes is attached to something called the oval window, which is right there, okay. So all these vibration goes through, the vibration is going and going and going, okay, and it goes into the vibration will continue until this fluid fill, cochlea, and the vestibular organ, okay. So the stape is seated on the oval window. Now the reason is vibration is amplified 20 times, okay, to the size difference in tympanic and oval window, but the muscle attached to the malleus and stape can dampen loud noises to protect the structure. So here's that stape. Here's that oval window right there, and it's connected to the vestibule and the cochlea. Okay, so here we have some semicircular canal. They're all filled with fluids. Okay, all filled with fluid. They're 90 degrees to one another. Okay, the inner ear has the osseous and the membranous labyrinth. Interconnected channel and chamber in the temporal bone. Osseous labyrinth is filled with a fluid called the perilymph. Okay, so this part is called the vestibular cochlear, okay, area. Okay, but each one is its own organ. So there's a nerve, vestibular cochlear nerve. Okay, so the vestibule part, it comes with the balance, and the cochlear comes with hearing. Okay, so again, this when you're, so let's do the camera better. So let's say you have a cup of let's say you have a cup of water. Okay, and you tilt the cup. Okay, what happened to the water? The water will have an equilibrium, right? The water will stay the same. So there are sensory organs in there, little hair. It can tell you where you are. Okay, that's how you tell where your head, when you move your head. The semicircular canal moves. I mean, it's the semicircular doesn't move. The liquid inside moves. Okay, and then you can tell where you are. Okay, so the labyrinth, there's inside. Okay, it's filled with perilymph. Okay, membranous labyrinth, which is then filled with endolymph. So inside is filled with endolymph. Okay, so there's perilymph and endolymph. So remember perilymph and endolymph, they are two different types of fluids, and once we study it a little bit more, once we dissect this a little bit more, we're going to learn where they are. Oh, and here it is. Okay, so here's the cochlea. Okay, again, when sound comes in, so the cochlea is divided into 3 sections first, parallel to one another. Okay, so scala vestibule. Okay, remember them, please. Scala vestibule, scala tympani, and the basilar membrane. Okay, the top and the bottom, scala and the scala, contain perilymph, and the basilar membrane contain a liquid called the endolymph. Okay, just remember it is inside perilymph. Okay, so on the upper will be scala vestibule, on the lower is scala tympani, and all these chambers are filled with perilymph. Okay, down here. Electrical signal will be processed in this little section, this thing called the organ of Corti. Organ of Corti. Okay, we're gonna look into them in detail in a little bit later. So again, the cochlea, okay, it's like a snail shell. Sound comes in through the oval window, okay, and then the vibration will go through and go through and go through and go through. Okay, the vibration will then be interpreted in the organ of Corti. Okay, organ of Corti, and then so the vibration will come in, and then your brain will process what does this vibration mean? Is it loud? Is it low? Or what sound is it? What frequency is it? It's all interpreted in the organ of Corti. Now we're going to magnify this, and we're going to learn a little bit more about the organ of Corti. So again, perilymph, and endolymph. So here it is, scala media. Okay, it's between and it's filled with endolymph, separated by a vestibular membrane, and from the scala tympani by the basilar membrane. Okay, so it's right there. So here we are. Okay, here is where the sound wave is interpreted and transformed into electrical signal. Okay, so that your brain can understand. The organ of Corti, or another one, is called the spiral organ. That's another name. Okay, it's got special hair cell on there. Okay, called stereocilia. Stereocilia. Okay. Okay, this, when sound comes in, it moves, and then it will transmit the wave into electrical signal. Stereocilia are embedded in a gelatinous shelf called the tectorial membrane, which is attached to the spiral laminae. So here it is. Okay, let's put everything together. Okay, so here's a tuning fork. Sound wave is connected by the auricle, okay, entering the ear canal, vibrating the eardrum, causing all the bones to move. And then remember, all these, the last bone, the stapes, is attached to the oval window. Oval window, well, here they have stretched out the cochlea because it's straight now. Okay, so it goes in one way, like this, okay, and then out. It has to come out, which is we're talking about here. Okay, so again, sound goes in through the scala vestibule. Scala vestibule is on top, and the basilar membrane is on the bottom. Remember, this is where it converted into electrical signal. Okay, and it has to go out. The vibration goes out through the round window. So this is the oval window, and here is it exit through the round window. Okay, and this is that sound, that vibration that bends the hair. Okay, every time you bend the hair, it's like when you touch the skin, right? It causes a depolarization, and it fires, and then it creates an action potential. That's how you hear. Different sound, different intensity. So that's the cochlear part. Now we're gonna look into the equilibrium part. Okay, the equilibrium part. Equilibrium is the balancing part of your hearing. Uses similar mechanical receptors and got stereocilia. Again, stereocilia is you know, like here, just like the little hair here, the little hair, okay, stereocilia, okay, but in a different position, okay. Head position is sensed by utricle and saccule. Utricle and saccule. And let's see if there's a better picture of it. Oh. Wow. Let's start here again. Head position is sensed by utricle and saccule. Head movement involves the semicircular canal. So every time we move our head, okay, we have little hair like this, okay, and on top of the hair is got something called the otolith. They call it like little stones, okay. Imagine you're holding you know, something that is heavy on top. When you move your head forward, it goes forward like that, and it changes position of these hair cells, causing action potential to fire, okay. So again, these are otolith, hair cells. Membranous chambers in vesicle, utricle, and saccule. Each has a special epithelial maculae, okay, and it's surrounded by endolymph. Macule has a hair cells, which has a gelatinous mass on top called the otolith. So the top part is the otolith, hair cells, and these are embedded in the macule. Here we can see utricle and saccule better. Okay, utricle and saccule better. So this is what we talked about earlier, the semicircular canal. They are 90 degrees of one another. Okay, 90 degrees of one another. Filled with perilymph. Perilymph again, same as the scala tympani and the one below. Scala vestibule and scala tympani. Okay. Perilymph is the liquid. Inside each of the membrane canal, it's an end of swelling called the ampulla. So if you look at the semicircular canal, you see that little swelling called the ampulla. So here's that little ampulla. Inside of the ampulla is the capilla. So every time we move, okay, the liquid will move the capilla, right? And when it moves, your body will know what position you're in. So every time you move, it displaces it